Hey, and welcome back to Vita versus 3DS. Sorry for the little hiatus I took of a couple weeks of not putting out a video, but of course with the summer lull and not much coming out for either system, it was about that time. But now we're back, and with the 3DS XL. I bought this today, and this is basically going to be a video response to the design video I made months ago for the regular 3DS versus the Vita, and this is just on the updates and how they've improved things and what they haven't improved or what's gotten worse and things like that. So, all right, so the first, I want to start off with the most obvious improvement. It's the bigger screen. The screens are 90% bigger. Um, I've heard that this also affects the 3D. It adds more depth, or it adds a bigger field of view for 3D. I can't confirm this. I've tried it myself. I don't notice a difference, but I've heard it, so just keep that in mind. But just overall, I mean, it's the size. It's almost the size of the Vita screen, and for anybody who owns both systems, going back and forth from the regular 3DS to the Vita is jarring. The screen difference is, I mean, not just in terms of resolution or the quality of the screen or anything, just literally the screen size is such a shock. Like, you just feel like the Vita is almost too big in a way, and then when you go back to 3DS, you feel like it's too small. So now, getting rid of my other 3DS and getting this one, I feel like that difference won't be as bad when I'm switching back and forth. So that's great. Now, another improvement, and my personal favorite improvement, is the edges. These edges are smooth, and the other 3DS's edges were pointy. And I kind of went on a little bit of a rant in my design video about those pointy edges because although they didn't hurt me, they don't hurt. That's the wrong word for it, but they're uncomfortable, especially for gaming. Like, if you game for hours, you're going to get these little indentations in your hands, and it happens without fail. And again, they don't hurt, but it's just annoying. I don't understand how people could find that comfortable. I don't understand how people could find pointed edges comfortable on a portable, but anyway, this is much more ergonomical. They're smooth. I've played it for a few hours already, and I haven't experienced any discomfort at all, so that's a big win. The buttons are still great. They're all nice and clicky, and the D-pad is a little bigger. The analog stick is the same size. It still has that sort of sandy feel. Like, I described it as a sort of sandy feel, as opposed to like the Vita's more smoothish feel. But gets the job done. Does fine. The L and R are good. The power button sticks out a little less, but you don't really need a responsive power button. You just push it down and it does fine. Start, select, and home over here. They're much better on this because they feel like actual buttons as opposed to just like a pad that you push in on the other one. But they're still not perfect. I'd rather them stick out and click a little more like the other buttons do, but I understand why they don't, because they would get in the way of closing the system. So that's okay. The 3D slider here, sliding it up and down, when you turn it off, it clicks. It clicks down, so you know that it's off. It's not just like it's not loose on like on the other one, which is a big improvement. So that's the buttons. The stylus is over here now. It's much better placed. This is much better placed for gaming. You don't want to have to reach around where you can't see behind your system to take out a stylus and put it back. Also, it's not retractable, which a lot of people would think that's a negative, but it's actually a positive, because having to pull out a stylus and then retract it and then use it and then put it back in and everything, that just takes longer. This is so much faster, and I really like it. Okay, and the last thing that it improved is the battery life. The battery life is quite a bit better. I charged it at the beginning and I played it for quite a few hours, and I still have quite a bit of battery left, as you can see there. So yeah, now on to the things that have gotten worse. So again, the most obvious thing is that it's bigger, meaning it's not for everybody. It's a 3DS XL, which, extra large. It's roughly, when you close it, if you're to close it here, it's roughly the same size as a Vita. It's a little bit taller, it's a little less wide, and it's a little bit thicker than a Vita. But I have no problem putting this in my pocket. I have no problem putting a Vita in my pocket. But for people who like to pocket things without any bulge or anything, I can see how this would get annoying. The next downside, which people I found made a way too much of a big deal about, is the rumored yellow screen. Now, staring at this now, you can clearly see that I intentionally chose the MeMaker background here because it's supposed to be white. You can clearly see that this is white, it's not yellow. But there is some validity to the claims that there's some yellow on the screen. So I'll show you here by making the Vita do a little cameo. I have Welcome Park open here. So, alright, so as you could see, the Vita screen seems really white, and the 3DS screen does seem a little yellow in comparison. So let's get a little closer view over here. Yeah, so you see the 3DS screen is a little bit more yellow. But if you turn the 3D on, and I have to watch carefully, I'm going to turn it on, it's not yellow anymore. It's actually white. It's not as white as the Vita screen, of course, because the Vita has that vibrant OLED and better colors and everything. But if you were to take the old 3DS, this is what it looked like. This is white. So if you're playing your 3DS in 3D like you should be, then the yellow screen issue isn't going to be a problem. It's only really a problem when you go into 2D like this. Turns yellow again. Again, I find that all the talk about this is really overblown. Even as it is now, it's not yellow. It's maybe a little less white than the other 3DS is, but it really shouldn't be an issue at all. Anyway, so that's that. Also, the last downside that I personally went through is I gave away my 3DS before I bought this. You don't get to keep your eShop games. Your eShop games are tied to a system, they're not tied to an account, which is just an absolutely stupid move from Nintendo. You should be able to trade in your system, give it away, and have an account online that you can just retrieve your games from. And I understand why they did it. They don't want you just giving away your games or downloading your games on other systems, but Sony does it. I could get a new Vita, I could deactivate my Vita, get a new one, get the new model, and not have to worry about this. I wasn't a big eShop guy. I'm not on the eShop that often. I didn't have a lot of eShop games, but I did have Mighty Switch Force and Pushmo, and I'm gonna have to rebuy them, unfortunately. Of course, the way around this, I think, is to do a transfer between the 3DS. You take your new 3DS, you take your old 3DS, and then you do a transfer, which is supposed to transfer over those games, I think. But that's not really ideal if you have to trade in your old 3DS to get a new one. And I know lots of people who did that. And yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what I lost. I don't see my ambassador titles here, which I'm pretty sure I lost them, but big deal, they weren't that great anyway. And I don't see my eShop games, which I know I lost at this point. But my saves are good. Yeah, so it's not the end of the world, and I only play retail games on 3DS for the most part for now until they get some better eShop games, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, overall, I do view this as a massive, massive improvement from the regular 3DS. Everything I've just said, combined with the fact that it just feels like a better device. It feels sturdier. It has a matte finish, which aesthetically I don't find as pleasing, but it feels better. Like it feels more smoother and better. So overall, I just say it's a device. It's a better device, and anybody who wants to go pick it up or we're thinking about it, I hope after this video, if you're on the fence, that you're pushed to go pick one up. Just remember that if you have a lot of eShop games, you might want to buy it without trading in your 3DS, transfer them over, and then and then trade in your 3DS for some extra store credit. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.